Good morning, sir.
Morning, Trinity. Please be seated.
Good morning, all, and welcome to our 186th anniversary Sunday. How many have been to them all? On Friday, or 6 years ago, Joe Reed, who was a past moderator of the Presbyterian Church in Canada, was our anniversary speaker. And he was a teacher and a mentor to Peter Woods. And I had the pleasure of spending several hours with Joe on Friday past, and he sends his best wishes to the people of Trinity. On this date last year, at the request of some of you, I was asked to talk about what had gone on in the previous 10 years. So we did, and we talked about the various accomplishments, the losses we'd had in our congregation, and the challenges we were facing. As you may recall, at that time, we did not have a minister. We did not have an organist, although Wendy, as the Maple Leaf season was ending, was preparing to come back and join us. And she did, thank you. And a lot's happened in the last year. It's been a great year. You know, as Reverend Christopher and Lorraine have brought energy, enthusiasm, vision, and drive into our midst. It's a year of joy, reflection, and gathering steam. And I, for one, look forward to the next 10 years if they're going to be a repeat of this year. In your bulletin on the first page, it talks about the service this morning, the ministry vignettes, the ministry fair, what's going on this afternoon, the concert in mid-afternoon, and the dinner which is taking place this evening. And it's talked about further on in the bulletin as well. Trinity on Tuesday will have the usual action-packed fun at 6 o'clock. A lot of activity on Wednesday. The Men's Breakfast Club meets on Thursday at the restaurant, and all are welcome. And next Sunday, of course, is Mother's Day. The stewardship team is selling geraniums again this year, multicolors. And you'll note that in the bulletin, and for further information, you can contact Mike Murphy or Barb Byam. Also on Mother's Day, or on Saturday, Westminster is having a dinner, and all are welcome to attend that. A couple other items. I better get this in or I'll be in trouble with Peter. But before I get to Peter, this afternoon we'll see the final performance at the Station Theatre at 2 o'clock of Butterflies Are Free, right? And our Linda Daniluk is the director, and the reviews on this particular play have been rave reviews. So if you haven't had a chance to see it, and if you're not coming here this afternoon, you're more than welcome at the Station Theatre.
Is the play free too?
The plays are always free in terms of spirit. But what is free is on Friday night when the world-renowned Max Finkelstein, who's just recently received another major nature award in this country, will be at the Station Theatre at 7 o'clock to present the Canada 150 Four Winds Voyageur Canoe Expedition. That's at 7 o'clock at the Station Theatre on Friday night. And please note the remainder of the notices in your bulletin.
Amen. Thank you very much, Tom. The Algonquin people agreed to share the land on which we reside, but did not surrender their title and rights to it. We acknowledge, therefore, that we continue to occupy unceded Algonquin territory.
Please join me in the call to worship. Outside these walls, farmers rise early so that there will be food on our tables. As we gather today to give you thanks, we ask a blessing on the farmer.
Outside these walls, police, firefighters, EMS, and trauma workers tend to our safety and security. Safe traffic, watercraft, barbecues, and bicycles permit fun and relaxation. As we gather today to give you thanks, we ask a blessing on police, firefighters, EMS, and trauma workers.
Outside these walls, merchants open doors, hoteliers, restaurateurs, tourist guides open our town to the Rideau, the shade of trees which grow beside living waters, benches and patios. As we gather today to give you thanks,
we ask a blessing on hospitality workers. Outside these walls, road and maintenance crews repair the wear and tear of winter and restore the beauty of our common spaces, so that we will enjoy the beauty of field, foliage, and canal. As we gather today to give you thanks, we ask a blessing on maintenance crews.
On this Sabbath day, we honor those outside these walls, by the Rideau, in the park, on the patio. In this place of prayer, we give thanks, O God of all creation,
and ask a blessing on all who care for and help us enjoy your creation. Amen.
Amen. Our opening hymn this morning is hymn number 240 in Voices United. Praise my soul, the God of heaven.
Almighty God, light our path as we gather today. Open the gates of our minds and our hearts, that your word may penetrate the depth of our being. Lead us to the river of the water of life, and refresh us for the work you have set for us. Sit us down under the tree of life, and let us rejoice in the diversity of its fruit, and witness to the healing of nations. Show us your glory as we come to worship you. Amen. And I know we have young people, and if young people would like to come up, why, we can chat. And Elva too. You'll remind me that I put my glasses there, won't you? So we can just start. Do you remember Elva Corliss? How many people? Oh, watch this. How many people in the congregation remember Elva Corliss? And watch this. How many people in the congregation loved Elva Corliss? Yes. Elva was very well loved, and for very good reason. This Sunday is our anniversary service. And at anniversary services, we remember, the work that we've done, and the work that we're doing, and the work we hope to do in the future. Elva Corliss introduced recycling to Smiths Falls. And she started in the parking lot with a truck, barrels. I saw barrels in the pictures. Yep. And boxes, and sorted what would have been regarded then as garbage. I know in some of the photographs I saw barrel too. And you haven't changed. 40 years ago, I keep on wanting to say 1976, but it may have been 1979. Was it 6? Peter, 1976. That's 42 years ago. And it was a work that continued, that was handed over to others because partnerships were formed in the town. It became REAL, which is the Rideau Environmental Action League, and they developed other forms of not just recycling, but reuse and repurposing. So you have the real deal. And Brenda, who is pretending to be Elva, works at the Real Deal on Thursdays. It's a very important work and ministry, which, although it doesn't belong strictly to Trinity anymore, it came from Trinity. Come on up, we'll see. A wonderful thing about Elva Corliss is that she's not unique. Elva Corliss didn't just rise up out of the congregation as if she was a strange thing, and no other person in Smiths Falls or in this church was like her. When we have a baptism, I believe we spoke about this before, when we have a baptism, the congregation promises to be a community and a place where people can grow up and exercise their faith and change the world. Elva was born in 1928, 3 years after the United Church of Canada was born. And she was raised up in this congregation by people, of course, who are no longer here, just like Elva's no longer here. But that spirit that raised up Elva Corliss and that community that raised up Elva Corliss is still here. And Elva, not being unique, special to be sure, was a reflection of this community and grew up and was able to initiate something like this because of the community in which she lived. I'm going to show you some of the things we're doing today. This church, by the way, was a Methodist church. The United Church formed from the Union of Presbyterians, Methodists, and Congregationalists in 1925. This church, Trinity, was a Methodist church. And I didn't mean to go into all this, but for those of you who are being confirmed, in the Methodist church there was an emphasis on the work of the Spirit. And Methodists are very social gospel-minded. And so perhaps the emphasis that this congregation still places on outreach and social justice comes from our Methodist roots. Today, one of the outreach objectives or one of the social justice objectives of our church is Indigenous reconciliation. And even today, we remember, I don't want to say celebration, an acknowledgement. Services of acknowledgement taking place for the murdered and missing Indigenous women and girls across Canada. Because of our emphasis on social justice and fairness, safety for all people. Remember we had Aaron Lee who told us about the Moose Hide, men who stand opposed to violence against women. Just like recycling in 1976 was ahead of its time, and not just ahead of other churches, but even ahead of the community, one of our social justice or outreach emphasis is about Affirm, which includes people of a variety of genders and understanding who they are as far as gender goes, and who love people different than what the mainstream or most other people would traditionally think was normal. And we're ahead of other churches, just like Elva was ahead of the whole community. We support food security, food bank. Some things we do in partnership with others, like the Christmas hamper with the Salvation Army that we have the concert at the Pentecostal church out the road. And some things we do on our own. We have community barbecues in the summer. And what we do on Tuesdays has taken up part of the character of mission and outreach too. This is a women's group meeting. On the back it says 1947. Why the back of this doesn't say UCW? UCW was formed right at the beginning, wasn't it? Where's really? That's why it says the Women's Missionary Society, 1947. Now, if I were Marguerite, I would, or Linda Stronsky, or Jane Turpin, or you, I would ask me after the service why I had to ask when the UCW was formed. Yes, that'll give me, I got 45 minutes to come up with an answer. So this is the Women's Missionary Society in 1947. You know, see this picture over here? You notice anything about it? See, most of them are men, all of them are men. That is, what is the year on the back of that? I don't have my glasses, and I can't move that because it's going to... 1895? 1985, I think. 1895.
Yeah,
1895. So in 1895, this picture, all men. You would not find a woman preacher in this church in 1895. You certainly would find them today. And you would find them in our church, the United Church, for a long time. We were not a pioneer because we weren't alone, but we were one of the first two in recognizing equity for women. And the future. It's difficult to imagine what the future will hold. But what we do know, remembering Elva, remembering that Elva was a product of this congregation, remembering that we have a history and tradition of responding to real needs in creative ways, that whatever our future holds, whatever need might arrive at our doorstep, we will respond to it again with creativity, imagination, boldness, and daring. I was joking with my minister friends this Thursday, because we go for breakfast every Thursday morning, and I told them that I was going to preach a hard-hitting, unvarnished sermon on Sunday about how great Trinity was. They laughed. Yeah, yes, because Trinity is great. And it's great because of the people in it, and because of this spirit in this place, we can do awesome things in our worship, in our outreach, in our care. And you are part of that. Just like Elva was part of that, right from the cradle roll to the very end. Let's pray. Dear God, we thank you for great people. We thank you for great communities. We thank you for this great community. Cause us to be faithful in raising up boys and girls who will become men and women doing great things in your name. Use us always. Amen. And thank you very much.
Thank you.
The psalm today is on page 818, Psalm 98. Sing to God a new song. He's done marvelous things. Your right hand and your holy arm have brought victory.
You have made known your salvation, and revealed before the nations your saving power.
You have remembered your steadfast love and faithfulness to the house of Israel.
All the ends of the earth have seen the salvation of our God.
Make a joyful noise to God, all the earth. Sing psalms to God with the harp, with trumpets and the sound of the horn.
Make a joyful noise before our sovereign God.
Sing a new song unto God, who has done such marvelous things.
Let the sea roar, and all that fills it. Let the rivers clap their hands. You come to judge the earth, O God, to judge the world with righteousness and the peoples with equity.
Sing a new song unto God, who has done such marvelous things.
The scripture this morning is from John 15, verses 9 to 17. It is on page 878 on your Bible. Sorry, I lost my place here. Yeah. As the Father has loved me, so I have loved you. Abide in my love. If you keep my commandments, you will abide in my love, just as I have kept my Father's commandments and abide in his love. I have said these things to you, so that my joy may be in you, and that your joy may be complete. This is my commandment, that you love one another as I loved you. No one has greater love than this, to lay down one's life for one's friends. You are my friends if you do what I command you. I do not call you servants any longer, because the servant does not know what the master is doing. But I have called you friends, because I have made known to you everything that I've heard from my Father. Here ends the Holy Scripture.
Thank you very much, Peter.
When the saints go marching in, when the saints go marching in, oh my God, I want to be in that number. Oh yeah, when the saints go marching in, oh when the saints go marching in, oh when the saints go marching in, oh I want to be in that number. Oh yeah, when the saints go marching in, 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 to be in the number. When the saints go marching in, saints go marching in, they go marching. And each shall sing the saints from the storm. Marching in with the saints marching in, marching in with the saints marching in, and we shall stand marching. And when Gabriel blows on his trumpet, and the saints go marching in, marching, saints go marching in. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah.
This is my commandment, that you love one another as I have loved you. You are my friends if you do what I command you.
Elva Corliss was a friend of Jesus. Elva Corliss, dedicated church worker, charter and life member, treasurer, at least 3 times past president of Trinity's UCW, chair of the Women's Interchurch Group of Smiths Falls. She held leadership roles at Presbytery and Presbyterial. She was a mentor and an enabler of many people, outreach-minded, possessed of a strong faith, true friend for life, very compassionate, caring, warm, friendly smile. Anything cared about, she would make happen. From the Smiths Falls Record News, May 28, 2015, town celebrates life of early environmentalist Elva Corliss by Stacy Roy. Elva Corliss lived a life full of faith and love for her Smiths Falls community, but it is her pioneering effort in recycling that will be her legacy to her friends and neighbors.
Her obituary said that Elva May Corliss died at home in Angus, but Elva's home was Smiths Falls. She died surrounded by family on March 28, 2015, in her 86th year. Peter Ah, Real director and founding member, spoke of Corliss' never-ending efforts to reduce humanity's impact on the earth. Elva was a strong believer of taking care of God's creation and worked ceaselessly in that direction.
Her passion for recycling began in 1976 when she started hosting recycling depots in Smiths Falls, where bottles were collected and given new life. At the time, her co-workers at the OK Economy in town ribbed her for her action that were many years ahead of her time. In an interview with the Record News in 2008, Corliss recalls her response to all the good-natured comments she received at the time when she said, "You'll be sorry someday when you get surrounded in garbage."
Throughout the many decades, this Smiths Falls resident continued working to ensure this fate didn't happen in her community. In 1989, she, along with a small group of dedicated individuals, founded the Rideau Environmental Action League, REAL, and subsequently was one of the key organizers of the Reuse Center, forerunner of today's Real Deal, in 1990. This endless dedication to caring for the earth was noticed by many organizations, including the Recycling Council of Ontario, who gave Corliss a citation of merit in 1988. Locally, REAL recognized their faithful volunteer multiple times, including presenting her with lifetime membership in 1995 and bestowing the retiring director as Director Emeritus in 2008.
Her love of earth knew no boundaries. In the early 1990s, Corliss donated her time to the Public Liaison Committee for the Smiths Falls area and community-wide waste management master plan study. She just saw how it could happen and didn't see obstacles that somehow disabled the rest of us, said the Reverend Peter Woods of Trinity United Church. Corliss was a dedicated parishioner of Trinity United Church from her birth, April 9, 1928. She sat on the Social Justice Committee at the church, as well as many positions through the United Church Women's UCW group, including treasurer and president. Alva Corliss was one of the most remarkable persons many have known. When she spoke, it was with respect, wisdom, and often a touch of humor. She spent much of her life helping the church in its offering of communion services. A story from the 1930s best describes the depth of Corliss's faith and support for her faith community. She would go out with her parents to pick grapes to make the communion juice. Providing nourishment for body as well as the soul was one of Alva's talents. Her delicious donut holes and cakes were at many church functions and fundraisers.
The town of Smiths Falls applauded Alva's exceptional efforts to give back by honoring her as Citizen of the Year in 1991. 2 years later, her country would add their words of praise when Alva received the Canada 125 Medal, which commemorated the 125th anniversary of Confederation. This medal acknowledged Canadians who made a significant contribution to their fellow citizens, to their community, or to Canada. Alva May Corliss was laid to rest at Hillcrest Cemetery in Smiths Falls.
Trinity United Church is a congregation in which Friends of Jesus support ministries that give life to Jesus' commandment, love one another as I have loved you.
Trinity United Church is a community of friends of Jesus who include all of Smiths Falls and the world in the circle described as one another. Nobody is left outside, and no one is unimportant. Alva Corliss was one personification of Trinity United Church. Trinity's ministry may be called great, not because there are a few great individuals within each generation, but because love, faithfulness, vision, and courage reside here.
Alva was a product of this community as much as the community is a reflection of Alva. Alva supported social justice, worship, and fellowship.
Now, last week, the reflection for this Sunday was sent out to everyone for whom I have an email address. If you didn't receive these mailings and you have an email address and you'd like to receive them, let the communications team know during the ministry fair, and we would love to keep you informed, connected, and hopefully inspired.
This Sunday is our anniversary celebration.
I'm very proud of our congregation and your work in the community. Your faithfulness, vision, and courage, collaborative spirit, and determination are a minister's dream. And I think I'm going to break away from this because the rest I don't really have to read, if I may.
And we've already
Yes.
said a lot about.
In the children's story.
Mhm.
So I will sum up. I sometimes joke, and things that people say when they're making light comments or a quick response or something is obviously a reflection of what lives inside the person to a varying degree. I know that I shouldn't be speaking about myself, but it's really about you. When I retired from the military in September, it was after fantasizing about civilian ministry with my chaplain colleagues for about 3 years. And I believe every time I fantasized, I don't think there was an exception, but every time I fantasized to one of my military chaplain colleagues about going back into the civilian ministry, I would be warned in one way or another that churches aren't as pleasant as you might grow to fantasize after 17, 18 years of not having a congregation. And I didn't believe that. Now, I am told there are lots of places, if my chaplain friends were correct, that I could have landed that would have proven my friends right. But Trinity has proven me right. And although we speak about Elva Corliss this morning, and we use Elva's name, when you read the characteristics of Elva in that article and replace Elva's name with Trinity United Church, I challenge you to find what it was in Elva's life and ministry that isn't true in the life and ministry of this congregation. It's a wonderful place to be. Now, of course, if anniversary services were just about saying how awesome we are, well, then we should have an anniversary service every Sunday. However, we remember the work and the character of our past, never in isolation from the work and ministry we are called to do today. At our ministry fair, I would encourage you to consider ways that you can help fulfill a variety of adventurous and daring and creative ministries that this congregation is presenting both within our four walls and in our community of Smiths Falls and even onto the ends of the earth. I know that when I sent out the email a couple of weeks ago, I mentioned our activity on Tuesday. Our activity on Tuesday, when we started that, was intended to be a time and place where people who weren't able to make it out on Sunday could more easily come. And so we decided we meet at 6 o'clock on Tuesdays with an easy supper. The easy supper was intended to enable people to scoop up their young people and come to church by 6 without having to worry about anything else. Just their commute, if they're coming from Ottawa, get the children and come. As it turns out, the supper was a ministry in and of itself. Not just for young families whom we hope would scoop up children and come, but for people in our community and congregation who would otherwise eat alone. And it became an outlet for pastoral care and fellowship, the community caring for the community. Most recently, as the weather became warmer, people for whom food security is an issue have begun to populate the Tuesday evening supper. And this is a ministry that we did not request. This is a ministry that we weren't looking to fulfill. This is a ministry that came to our doorstep. And just like the need to care for the environment was something that came to our doorstep and literally began being fulfilled on our doorstep in the parking lot, we're challenged today to respond in new ways, or perhaps to revive old ways of caring for people in our community who are hungry. In the children's story, of course, we looked at other ministries that are new and not necessarily unique to the United Church, certainly not unique to Trinity, but in which we stand almost alone, like a firm. Ministries and advocacy for which we're not alone, but for some, the approaching it inspires ambivalence, like Indigenous reconciliation. Concerns or initiatives or advocacy that some people see and some people deny outright, like gender equity. We are called to fulfill, to pursue, to advocate, to serve in these wonderful ways. Through our Christian community, we're called to provide pastoral care. And in our spiritual leadership team, we are called to I don't want to say rationalize. We are called to present all of our ministries of our church as a reflection of our faith and Scripture as we worship, as we do this morning. It's an exciting church. It's an exciting day. And God has much for us to do in the future. Amen. And we shall continue by singing hymn number 691, Through Ancient Walls, in Voices United. 691.
access to safe water. Our gifts for mission and service provide water. Water is a gift of God and a fundamental human right. Getting water remains the grueling chore for many in the global south, who spend much of their time hauling water from distant sources to meet their families' needs. Access to water affects every part of every daily life. Mission and service partner People's Action Forum is working hard to address these challenges in new rural Zambia. From 2015 to 2016, People's Actions Forum tripled the number of boreholes it was able to drill from 10 to 30 days. It says the list of needy communities is always longer than what can be provided in any given year. Every single additional well that can provide keeps the community from waiting another whole year on the waiting list. Boreholes are often drilled close to community hubs like schools, making access as broad as possible. Near the town of Mubabwa, Chippo, the primary school has 620 children. Head teacher Frida Kafuti talks about the positive difference a borehole drilled by People's Action Forum has made. Before the borehole was drilled, staff and students had a 4-kilometer walk to the closest water supply. Now students have ready access to safe drinking water, have been able to establish a small vegetable gardens for the school feeding program. Frida says that these are vulnerable children. They live in poverty, which makes the school's feeding program crucial. Education will give them a chance for better life. A borehole, she said, is helping the school serve that most important purpose. Mission and service is making a difference in rural Zambia. If mission and service giving is already a regular part of your life, thank you so much. If you have not given, please join me in making mission and service giving a regular part of your life of faith. Loving our neighbor is at the heart of mission and service.
We look around at the bounty of God's creation and give thanks. All that we have and all that we are is a gift from the author of generosity. May we be as generous that the work of this ministry will be a blessing to others. Our ushers will now receive our morning offering.
Bless and multiply these gifts, that your abundance might be recognized in this place and outside these walls. May the fruits of our labors truly be for the healing of creation and the nations. Amen. Amen.
Creator God, we bring all of our joys and all of our concerns to you in prayer. We ask that you bless our neighbors and bless the laborer, the farmer, the executive, and the server, the trucker, analyst, the unemployed, and all your children. Hear our prayer. Bless seeds and bulbs that we have planted. Bless all that grows upon the earth. Bless us with the desire to care for your earth, so that your bounty will increase and all may share in it. Hear our prayer.
Bless our church family near and far. Beth and Jim, Jackie and Bruce, Linda and Ron, Larry, Louise and Tom, sisters, brothers, co-workers in mission.
Hear our prayer.
Bless your work in Smiths Falls, ongoing, new and anticipated, real and the real deal, the mission, Alcoholics Anonymous, Rainbow Sabbath, worship with seniors on Tuesday afternoons, worship with supper on Tuesday evenings, Healing Pathway.
Hear our prayer.
Bless those who serve on the sea. We recall the Battle of the Atlantic. Over 70 Canadian merchant ships lost. 24 Canadian warships lost. Merchant Navy sailors lost, over 1,700. Royal Canadian Navy sailors lost, over 2,000. And the Air Force lost more than 900. May war truly come to an end and the freedom and justice that we hope to secure become an enduring reality in Jesus the Christ. Hear,
oh,
hear
hear
our
our
prayer.
prayer. Bless us. Let appreciation of your creation, each other, and those outside these walls expand beyond our imaginings. Amen. Combining our prayers together in one, let us say the prayer that Jesus taught. Our Father,
Who art in heaven,
hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven.
Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. And we depart to serve with joy, and we will sing hymn number 30 in more voices. It's a song of praise to the Maker.
May God be gracious to us and bless us, and make God's face shine upon us, that God's way may be known upon earth, saving power among all nations.
Let the peoples praise you. Let all the peoples praise you. Let the nations be glad and sing for joy, for God judges the peoples with equity and guides the nations upon earth. Let the peoples praise you. Let all the peoples praise you.
The earth has yielded its increase. God has blessed us. May God continue to bless us
Let all the ends of the earth revere the God of all creation. Amen.
Amen.